The phrase, "truth is stranger than fiction," never truly resonated with me until I found myself engulfed in a situation so bizarre that it could easily pass for a dramatic movie plot. My name is Abigail, and I'm about to share a story that stretches the bounds of believability. It all began when I met Wayne through a mutual acquaintance. Our connection was immediate and profound, leading us to a swift and natural decision to get married after just over a year of dating. As we embarked on this new chapter, I moved into his apartment, eager to begin our lives together. Everything seemed perfect, and we were on the cusp of making it official by submitting our marriage registration. However, life had other plans. Just as we were about to finalize our paperwork, I fell ill with severe flu, landing me in the hospital for treatment. Wayne, ever the supportive fiancé, reassured me that he would handle the marriage registration. Confident in his reliability, I left the matter in his capable hands. Hours later, while still recovering, I heard Wayne return home, not alone, but accompanied by a gentle female voice cheerfully calling his name. My heart sank, filled with unease. Had Wayne brought another woman home while I was bedridden? But the reality was even more unexpected. It was his mother who had come to visit. Without a moment's hesitation, she barged into our bedroom, her voice piercing the air as she demanded to know why I wasn't out to greet her. It struck me as profoundly insensitive given my obvious illness. Choosing to feign sleep to avoid any confrontation, I hoped she would leave me be. Yet, she escalated the situation by pulling the blanket off me, sharply criticizing my appearance in pajamas. "Get up and change immediately. You look disgraceful," she commanded, attempting to physically haul me out of bed. Exhausted and unwell, I mustered the little energy I had to plead with her. "Please leave me alone. I have the flu." This story, while almost unbelievable, is a testament to the unpredictability of life and the complex dynamics sometimes hidden within familial relationships. Stricken with the flu and highly contagious, I pleaded from my bed, my voice a mix of frustration and panic. As I dealt with this chaos, the sounds of laughter and the TV blaring a comedy show drifted from the living room. Wayne seemed oblivious, engrossed in his entertainment while his mother berated me mercilessly. "Wayne, your mother is overstepping her bounds with your sick wife. Can't you see what's happening?" I called out, but the laughter continued unabated. His mother, unrelenting, snapped at me. "Fine, if you're too sick to cook, I'll handle Wayne's meal. Be grateful, you useless fool." Her words stung as she stormed out, her behavior cruel and entirely unjustified. As she busied herself in the kitchen, announcing she was making dinner, I lay exhausted and emotionally drained from the encounter. "Why didn't you stop her, Wayne?" My frustration mounted as he failed to come to my defense, allowing his mother's harsh treatment to continue unchecked. It took 5 excruciating days for my fever to subside, during which I couldn't help but question my decision to marry into this family. I longed for my former single life, realizing just how much simpler it had been. Once I was well enough, I returned to work without any fanfare, quietly informing my boss and the HR department of my marital status and deciding against a wedding ceremony. At work, only my close colleague Diana from HR knew me well. "Congratulations on your marriage. A week off for a honeymoon, how envious," she teased, smiling. I sighed, unable to share her joviality. "I just battled the flu and endured an ordeal at the hands of my mother-in-law," I explained, finding no humor in my predicament. "That's hilariously tragic," she responded, though I found little to smile about. Diana then proceeded to give me some instructions for updating my employee records, but my mind was elsewhere, weighed down by the recent events at home. It's been a week since I filed the marriage registration, and Diana reminded me I should be getting some official paperwork reflecting my new name and address soon. "Go get that sorted and let me know so I can update your details in our system," she instructed. I nodded, though inside I was far from composed. As she spoke, the only thought swirling in my mind was the prospect of getting a divorce. Following a tumultuous day at work, I made a beeline for City Hall to collect the necessary paperwork. Yet, when I unfolded the document, I was stunned to see my maiden name still glaring back at me. Confused and anxious, I texted Diana, "The paperwork still has my maiden name. What's going on?" Her response was prompt and unsettling. "I don't think your marriage has been registered." My heart sank. The reality hit me hard. I might not actually be legally married. "I think you're right. Shocking, isn't it?" Diana texted back, her frustration palpable even through the digital exchange. We switched to a phone call. "You haven't been scammed out of money, have you?" she asked, concern in her voice. "No, the only thing I've lost is my peace of mind," I replied. But Diana, ever practical, suggested, "Just in case you should apply for an annulment, your husband might be a con artist." A con artist? The man I had been with for over a year? It seemed extreme, but given his mother's earlier behavior, it wasn't entirely out of the realm of possibility. Taking Diana's advice to heart, I went ahead and applied for an annulment. "Aren't you shocked?" Diana asked, still on the phone, her voice a mix of sympathy and disbelief. Her question echoed my tumultuous feelings as I grappled with the revelation and its implications for my future. As I sat, staring blankly into the distance, the harsh reality settled in. One might expect betrayal by a partner to be shocking, yet, after enduring the overbearing nature of Wayne's mother during my illness and witnessing Wayne's unwavering obedience to her, I was struck by a calm realization. I no longer loved him. The treatment I received was a clear sign that staying in this relationship would be detrimental to my well-being. Diana, concerned yet curious, probed further about Wayne. "What was going on with him?" she asked. I too wondered about his true intentions. Surely something deeper was at play, something that would unravel with a closer inspection of the marriage registration, like it did today. Wayne, at 29, held a respectable job and surely understood that any deceit would not remain hidden for long. Could he have been committing marriage fraud? Or perhaps he was testing me, seeing if I would detect the deception myself, making me a prime target for scammers. The thought was deeply insulting. Fueled by anger and a sense of betrayal, I confided in Diana about my plans to expose him, though what I ended up doing felt quite mundane. I recorded conversations and reviewed footage of Wayne and his mother. Watching them felt almost criminal on my part. After 5 days, all I had captured was more of his mother's domineering behavior and their usual exchanges, the epitome of a mama's boy dynamic. My interest in pursuing this further began to fade as the reality of my situation became painfully clear. I sat at the dinner table, listlessly pushing around the bland beef stew Wayne's mother had prepared. Each spoonful was as unappetizing as the next, not just in taste, but in the context of the ongoing verbal jabs from her. I must have appeared visibly worn out because she looked across at me with a smirk of satisfaction and chuckled. "You've seemed unhappy ever since you got married, Abigail. But you know it's because you're not fulfilling your duties as a wife. I'm here to teach you. You should be grateful for that." Her words were sharp, and I struggled to find the energy to respond. What sort of twisted logic was she using? It struck me just how fortunate I was that she wasn't my mother-in-law. Or was she even aware of that? "Mom, that's— Oops, my bad," she suddenly blurted out, faking a cough and glancing sideways at me as if she had let something slip. Her words hung in the air, revealing a deeper layer of the situation that I hadn't anticipated. "Let me explain. Wayne and I had a plan for our happiness," she continued, her tone shifting as she divulged more. This was an unexpected twist. All along, I had assumed Wayne was acting on his own, but now it appeared his mother was an integral part of whatever scheme was unfolding. Could they have known that I was onto them? "What do you mean by our happiness?" I asked, my interest piqued despite my exhaustion. "You seem to be in the dark, so let me clarify," she said with a tone that bordered on condescending. "Your marriage registration was never filed. This means you and Wayne are still just strangers. Yes, I knew about it. I decided to go along with it. She admitted this casually as if it was a mere afterthought, leaving me stunned yet intrigued by the audacity of their deceit. Though guilt shadowed her admission, the boldness of their plan was now crystal clear. They had engineered the whole scenario, roping me into a pseudo-marital drama without any legal bindings. My role in their twisted plot was far more passive than I had ever imagined, making me reconsider everything I thought I knew about Wayne and his domineering mother. As I sat across from Wayne's mother at dinner, her explanation washed over me like a dream. "We wanted to see if you were truly right for Wayne," she confessed nonchalantly. "If you turned out to be unsuitable, he could simply have a child with you and then leave. This way, we wouldn't soil our family records." Her words were cold and calculating. They wanted a child, not my money. "What exactly are you saying?" I asked, disbelief clouding my voice. "The reason we avoided official marriage registration was to test you, to see if you'd make a good wife," she replied, as if this setup was a normal family practice. Could any story be as bizarre as the one unfolding in my life? My detective work over the past 5 days suddenly seemed futile. Feeling utterly defeated, I retreated to our bedroom where I had preemptively packed my bags, just in case my snooping around was discovered. As I zipped up my suitcase, Wayne appeared, his expression one of panic. "I never meant to hurt your feelings," he stammered. "It's okay, goodbye," I replied, barely looking at him. What more was there to say? Was I entangled with a con artist? This felt like a plot lifted straight from a thriller movie. Returning home unexpectedly, my parents were shocked as I recounted the events. They were speechless, their mouths agape. Given the late hour, they urged me to get some rest, showing a level of concern that was heavier than usual. The next day was Sunday, and I spent the evening blowing off steam at a local bar with Diana and a few other friends. By Monday morning, I felt somewhat detached from the drama. However, I had no idea what awaited me next. That night, as I settled in at my parents' house, the doorbell rang, slicing through the quiet evening. Who could it be at this hour? My father's voice, thick with anger, echoed through the house. "Get out!" Rushing downstairs, I was met by the sight of Wayne at the entrance, his mother casting a looming shadow behind him. "Abigail, you need to listen to me," Wayne pleaded, edging past my visibly upset father. "Why should I? Everything was fine when we were dating, wasn't it?" I retorted, my patience thinning. "Just hear me out," Wayne insisted. It seemed that word of his deceit had spread thanks to a mutual friend. At work, where we shared colleagues who were also friends of mine, Wayne had been receiving cold stares. One colleague had even confronted him, saying, "So you committed blatant marriage fraud?" Reflecting on the situation, I remembered one of Wayne's colleagues who had been at our all-night venting session. Wayne now seemed desperate to regain my forgiveness, believing it could somehow mend his strained workplace relationships. "I never meant to deceive you," he continued. "I was going to file our marriage registration secretly later on." "Really? You thought I wouldn't find out? You're not that clueless, are you?" I challenged. Later, I checked some legal documents and discovered that Wayne genuinely hadn't known about the registration mishap. I felt foolish for suspecting something more sinister. But before I could process this revelation fully, his mother barged in. "You knew about this and still stayed with Wayne for a few days? Forgive him immediately and then I'll consider you as my daughter," she demanded. "Honestly, I couldn't care less about your approval. Even if you begged, I wouldn't want to be your daughter-in-law," I fired back. "What did you just say?" she gasped. "Your son is a mama's boy, and your cooking is awful. I'm fed up with your bullying," I declared, my frustration peaking. The room fell silent as the weight of my words hung in the air, marking a pivotal moment of defiance against the oppressive dynamics that had plagued me. As I stood there, confronting Wayne and his mother, my voice grew louder, resonating with the accumulated frustration. "You wanted me to have his child just to protect your family's reputation. Isn't that a gross violation of my rights? Did you even consider me as a person with feelings, not just some tool to use?" I challenged, watching his mother's face turn crimson with anger. Don't you dare speak to my mother like that. Do you still not understand what's going on? What she did is called marriage fraud, Wayne interjected, his tone defensive yet faltering under the weight of the truth. I didn't do anything wrong. You've wasted my time, valuable time, you fool. His words, however, didn't match the gravity of their actions, and I almost lunged at him in anger, but my father stepped in. Abigail, that's enough. The neighbors are watching, he cautioned, his voice low but firm. Glancing around, I realized we had drawn a crowd. Neighbors were clapping and cheering, clearly on my side, while those who knew Wayne and his mother whispered and spread rumors about the unfolding drama. I turned back to Wayne and his mother, my gaze sharp and unwavering. Don't ever come near here again. If I see either of you around my house, I'll call the police, I warned sternly. On a spur, I added, Wayne, I've recorded conversations of your mother bullying me. I'll be seeking compensation, so expect a call from my lawyer. I said this with a triumphant smile, the weight of my words sinking in. After that confrontation, Wayne's professional life spiraled downward. He was ostracized at work and shifted to a mundane role in document management, a clear demotion. My mother, ever the gossip aficionado, kept me updated on the fallout. During our confrontation, someone who knew Wayne's mother was present, and soon, they became infamous in our neighborhood as the fraudster mother and son duo. Their lives became constrained as they tried to dodge the disapproving glares and whispers, a direct consequence of their deceit. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of satisfaction seeing how things unfolded for Wayne and his mother. It was a harsh lesson, but perhaps one necessary for them to understand the gravity of their actions.